Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to LLB with Fatah Khan. What does LLB stand for? LLB stands for Legendary Leadership Bites with Fatah Khan. Hi, I am Fatah Khan, host of this podcast, a mid career transformation coach, a TEDx speaker, and a best selling author. And why did I start LLB with Fatah Khan? I worked in corporate world for 17 long years and I realized there were so many mistakes I did and not really getting the right guidance, and I failed in multiple instances, and I realized leadership is such a huge responsibility, and when it's played as a great role and when you play it in the right ways and you are able to attribute to not only people's success but also organizational success. With that mission, 4 years back I quit my job and started onto this coaching, and today, this is one of the initiatives, LLB with Fatah Khan, where I want to help mid career professionals to transform into legendary leaders. With that, today's topic is something which is a profound topic that I've learned from somebody's life. And this someone is none other than Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Right? We all recently celebrated Indian Republic Day, and while I was thinking of the importance of Indian Republic Day, I realized the contribution that this man has made to India and to the entire world. And that's where I was thinking of what are the lessons that I can take from the life of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. And here today, I want to share five leadership lessons that I learned from Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar's life. What are these important lessons? Of course, there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from his life because his entire life was is actually a profound source of inspiration, especially offering leadership lessons which are always going to stay like something like evergreen, right? Which can be used anytime because they are also invaluable leadership lessons that he has taught through his life, right? And what are these? If we have to deep dive into this, number one is visionary leadership. We all know Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar was a visionary leader, right? And he played a pivotal role in shaping the Constitution of India. This is what leaders are actually. They have challenges, they have problems in life. We know, like Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, he had so many challenges and problems in his life right from his childhood. But then he was someone who always had a vision and he focused on his vision irrespective of whatever came as challenges and problems in his life. He focused on his vision and he always had a great vision, and that vision helped to actually shape the Constitution of India. So that's number one attribute of Baba Saheb Ambedkar, being a visionary leader. What is attribute number two? The attribute number two is also a very important lesson I learned from Baba Saheb Ambedkar's life is grit. What a great man. Like I can't like explain the kind of my I still have goosebumps when I think of his life because the kind of grit that he had, he went through so many challenges, so many failures in life, but he was like, whoa, Hindi mein bolte hain dheet, right? And that is nothing but grit, right? He had amazing grit, like the perseverance. He never was ready to give up. Whatever challenges comes, whatever problems comes, he was standing like that rock, right? And then he was like, I am not going to give up at any cost. And this man's life is completely an example of how leaders can show perseverance and grit, because if you don't show grit, right, you can't sustain and you can't get success because life will throw a lot of challenges, especially at leadership role. If you're at the leadership role, there are people who are dependent on you, there are customers, there are clients, there is organization, and you would face different challenges coming from different directions. But then only when you have grit you can proceed and you can succeed in the life. So that's number two. What is number three? Number three is this attribute is the most powerful attribute for any leader, and Baba Saheb Ambedkar had this great attribute, which is courage. What a courageous man he was. Like, he went through so many challenges, right? He was challenged in his life. He went ahead and even challenged the social injustice. It requires huge courage to challenge something which is already there in the society and you stand for it so strong. And this man showed the courage to stand for stand and challenge the social injustice. He stood fearlessly to challenge that, and also advocated the rights of the marginalized. Right, he was somebody who actually stood always for the rights, and it takes a lot of courage to stand against any injustice, and especially when you are not somebody who is at power, when you don't have like resources, but you still show courage. And that's the true leadership, which requires a lot of courage. Because think of it, as a leader, even to take a small decision, like even if you have to fire some resource, or even if you have to say no to a customer or a client, it takes a lot of courage. And when you are actually failing at different instances, or even if you have to challenge anything, the system or the tools in the organization or the processes, as a leader, you need to have courage. And Baba Saheb Ambedkar clearly showed how a leader can stand strong and be courageous all the time, irrespective of whatever challenges and problems come in life. And then comes number four. And number four is like, this is something I loved about Baba Sahib Ambedkar, which is an important attribute that all leaders need to have. What is this attribute? Patience. Right? When it comes to action, Baba Sahib Ambedkar was a massive action taker. He was taking actions irrespective of the challenges, the problems that were happening in his life. He continued his education, and he continued to take action in multiple directions, and he was very focused, right? Irrespective of whatever was happening in the life, he was focused, and he continues his education, and he showed patience. Right, for the results he showed patience. Right, while it came to actions, he took massive actions. He was always a massive action taker, but he always had that much of patience as well. Think of it, so many problems he went through in his life. Right, his life, so many things happened with him right from his childhood. But even when he grew up, even he went to some great positions in his life, right, he was still facing a lot of challenges and problems. But this man, the kind of patience he showed, truly it was like the leadership, that the lesson that anyone can learn. Because in today's fast moving world, leaders lose their patience. Even if one customer is gone, even if one project is gone, they start getting angry on the employees, on the team members. Right, they get so irritated, they get frustrated because there are no results. But Baba Sahib Ambedkar clearly showed through his life that a true leader should not only keep taking actions, but also have patience for the results. Because that is one attribute that you need to have if you want to become a legendary leader. And the number five attribute, or the fifth thing, is the powerful thing. And that is something I believe that truly connects with me, which is nothing but the educational empowerment. Like Baba Sahib Ambedkar stood very strongly for this. In his life, he walked the talk. His life, like the education that he got, the kind of education that he actually got for himself, the kind of knowledge he acquired. Because writing a constitution of a country is not a joke. And we need to be proud that our constitution, the Indian constitution, is one of the most powerful constitutions ever written in the history. And who wrote this? I think of it, a child who was not even like getting proper education, and you struggled for that, from there to acquiring knowledge and getting educated, and then making it a big, and then becoming an example as a leader, how someone can actually educate themselves, and showing the power of empowerment. And he stood for educational empowerment. And I still remember the reason I started this mission, the reason I quit my high paying job, because I resonated with what my father used to say, which took me, of course, quite long time to really understand the deep meaning. Where my father used to always quote this powerful thing, right? Education is the most powerful weapon which can transform the world. And he used to say, son, right, help people through education so that they can transform their lives. And it took me quite long time to actually understand and get started on that. But then I'm truly blessed that today I'm able to work on the path, which is again educational empowerment, which is something Baba Saheb Ambedkar had a vision very long time ago itself, and he stood very strong for it. And his entire life is an example of how education can transform somebody's life. All these five important lessons, right? And of course, there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar's life, but as a true leader. As if you want to become a legendary leader, right, his life, you need to read his life story. You need to understand the kind of challenges he went through, the kind of problems he went through, and how he navigated those challenges. Because if you are able to navigate those challenges, and if you can bring in these five attributes from Baba Saheb Ambedkar's life, which is grit, right, courage, visionary leadership, patience, and educational empowerment, if you are able to bring that, you can also transform into a legendary leader. With that, we come to the conclusion of this episode. I'll see you soon in the next episode of how mid career professionals can transform into legendary leaders. Thank you so much for listening to me, and have a wonderful time.